All right, you're being
Wait, what are we doing?
recorded. Are you ready for your
I'm being recorded.
interrogation session?
I got pulled over today, and the first thing he said is, "Are you okay with this interaction being recorded?"
What do you
I
think
was like, "I
happens if you
don't
say
care, dude."
no?
They shoot you.
Oh, oh,
They
so you,
stop
okay.
recording, and
You
then
want me to
and
turn
then
off my
you
body
police
cam? All right.
brutality.
Well,
Bam, 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 bam.
you're giving me permission to turn off my body cam.
Ladies and gentlemen, rats and female rats, it is time for the Bear season
Ratesses.
5.
Yes.
Ratesses.
The
Last week we talked about the the wonderful adventure of the great season 1 and 2 of the Bear and the tremendous fall off in the subsequent seasons. Season 5, the newest season, the season in which I was very upset with in the last episode, but I have recently calmed down, so maybe I won't be as unstable while discussing
you've
this.
calmed down. Okay, why don't
uh,
we do let's do little blocks for opening thoughts, yeah?
yeah, so we did a little bit of that in the last episode at the end, but this is an interesting season because it is probably from a writing standpoint. I haven't I've been bad at my job, bad at my prepping. I haven't done as much analysis as I should have. Um, but from a writing standpoint, I think I agree with you that it is a better. This is the best season since season 2. It's not great, but it is better, much better than season 3 and 4, which were kind of atrocious. However, this season is where all of the restaurant stuff, they finally decide to throw that out the window so that they can do their drama stuff, which, because I'm coming at this from the restaurant perspective, I was just like screaming at Hulu the whole time watching this show, like losing my mind of how they handle these situations. So at worst, it is criminally negligent, and at best, it is absurdly unethical. And I'm excited to talk about all the terrible, horrible things that happen in this season.
All right, great. I love those opening thoughts. Uh For me, I think that season 5 of The Bear is in its own category compared to seasons 1 and 2 are in like category 1. Seasons 3 and 4 are in category 2, and season 5 is in category 3. And I think it's defined as being uh functional, not like, I don't mean functional as in like the plot works. I mean functional as in it gets done its storytelling objectives.
Yeah.
It is functional, but it is a lazy and kind of cheap and a bit unearned. But like, it's at least there's something going on, right? There is
Uh-huh.
consistently conflict and progression. It feels like a TV show instead of a montage of different,
Yeah.
like, just random bits and bobs, which is kind of what seasons 3 and 4 felt like at
Yeah,
points.
that's the weird transition of this. So, is seasons 1 and 2 are like a good show with very good, it works, and then
Very
seasons
quality, yeah.
3 and 4 become the montage, and then this season definitely becomes like a soap opera or a sitcom.
A soap
I'm
opera or a
like,
sitcom? I don't know if soap opera is
I don't
what
know if, well, I
the
guess
right
I don't
word.
really know. I've never really watched a soap opera. I mean, more sitcom. It feels like many times there should have been like a laugh track in the background.
I felt more like the showrunners were like, "Oh, okay, it's the last season. All right, wrap everything up. Let's go.
Wrap everything up.
Just find a way to
They
do
were-
it in this season. Just do it." And then they kind of just boom, boom, boom. When they didn't have to do that. That wasn't necessary. They wasted so much time in seasons 3 and 4. They could have easily consolidated those seasons and given themselves more time to actually end the show in a way that doesn't feel super cheap and super rushed and super kind of basic.
It reminds me of when in fifth grade I had to write a story for my writing class, and me and my best friend decided that we would write stories about Fortnite because we loved Fortnite because we were degenerates. And I was like 20 pages in until the teacher told me that I couldn't write anymore and I had to wrap the story up, but I was still in Act One. So I just ended it with, and then he places a trap and kills the bad guy.
Did you actually do that?
Yes, and I got 100%.
Scumbag, absolute scumbag. You needed to be taught to work within the constraints you have, all right? You didn't learn that lesson.
No, no, I did not. I learned to self indulge and then just throw it out the window.
There's very much a trend in this season of like you see a character, this kind of you get their first scene and the character is like, "Wow, this is the thing I'm struggling with." And then you're kind of like, "Oh, so they're going to end the season by overcoming that?" And they're going to do it like this, and then they do. As as opposed to earlier seasons, seasons 1 and 2, there was actually like a lot of questions about what a character would do, what a character wants, what direction that character is going to go.
Uh-huh.
And then the answers to those questions are usually pretty satisfying. Whereas here it's like, yeah, I mean, yes, sure, that's a functioning arc, but like it's so it's so much
Unimaginative.
lamer and less
Yeah.
interesting than what you've done before.
Well, I suppose we should get into it, shouldn't we? You know
Yes,
what's
we can crack
interesting?
on.
Almost all of these are directed by the same person, which is very different from the previous seasons.
I can't say I paid too much attention to who was
I
directing the
well,
episodes.
I didn't until I'm looking at it and it's all Christopher Storer.
Huh.
But
What
anyways,
episodes did he direct originally? Let me look that up real quick.
I'm unsure. But all basically what's happening in this season is almost every single episode except the final takes place during one day, one service.
Yes.
So in the end of the last season, the magical timer of you need to make all your money back by now or else we're shutting the restaurant down uh ends, but they don't shut the restaurant down. They just keep going in this season.
Yeah,
Uh
and that's been funny
so
because it's now been two. Well, it's been a thing for multiple seasons. The end of season 2 was like, all right, you better be successful within this time frame, and then the end of
yeah,
season 3 was like, all right, we're giving you more time. And the end of season 4 was presumably, well, you're out of time, and then season 5 opens with, and
they're
no,
still going.
they just refuse to like.
Yeah,
They're just like, yeah, you're not shutting
it's
us down.
very funny. It's so like the trailers for this season were like Jimmy calling Richie, and Jimmy's like, "You gotta shut the restaurant down," and Richie's like, "No, we're gonna keep going until you drag me out of this restaurant. We're gonna keep going." And I really thought that it was gonna be like a lot higher. Like, not to say that it's not fast paced, but I thought it would be much more dramatic in them keeping the restaurant open and they'd face more challenges, but instead no challenges are faced because they're keeping it open. All of them are external, other various reasons why it's hard to run the restaurant.
Yeah, I like the
Which isn't,
scene. Richie
go
is
ahead.
well. It's not a particular scene really. It I felt like going into this season, the beginning, I felt like I
Mm,
was watching Infinity War kind of.
why?
I don't know. It just has like an Infinity War type feel to it. There, you know
I think it's
the
the color
feeling.
grading. I think it's the way that it looks. Yeah, it
But
it
there's also
does
just
like,
like the all right, this is
yeah.
it feeling that you're going into
This
it.
is
Like
it.
here we go. Whatever's gonna go
Dun,
down
dun,
is gonna
dun,
go
dun, dun,
down.
dun, 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 dun. But yeah, so the first episode, there's a big storm. There's a really bad storm in Chicago, and it's raining a lot. And basically, I'll read the synopsis. The morning after Carmi tells Sydney, Richie, and Natalie about his retirement from the food industry, a major storm hits Chicago. The Bear staff attempts to prepare for service despite nearly empty shelves, failing supplies, and faulty plumbing. Richie gets into a car accident while driving to work. Carmi arrives and asks Sydney to keep his resignation a secret until he can tell the rest of the staff and places her in charge of the kitchen. Jimmy reveals he has lost most of his money and is selling the building. Richie promises he will help save the restaurant. Ibrahim notes that the restaurant's credit cards have stopped working. Natalie informs Sydney that expenses must be cut. Luca announces he is returning to Copenhagen, upsetting Marcus. As the staff struggles, worsening plumbing problems. A pipe suddenly bursts and floods the restaurant. Dear God.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's the main thing here.
So, so many things happening. Number one, um, a big part of this episode is like they left an infinite supply of cigarette butts sitting outside, and that is why the plumbing fails in the restaurant because there's an external rain drain, and all of the rain is getting or the drain is getting clogged up by said cigarette butts, which causes the restaurant plumbing to fail, which I'm not super knowledgeable about plumbing. But unless that was a backflow pipe, which it's not, because it's shown that rain is draining into them, I don't see any reason why it would back up the plumbing inside the restaurant. And also, if it's external, it's not the restaurant's plumbing, it would be the city's plumbing. So if there was a problem with it, the city would have to fix it, which means that if pipes were exploding because of said drain being clogged, wouldn't the city just shut down the plumbing in the area, which would then just the bear can't operate because they don't have water if the city's pipelines are running through the bear? So that was confusing to me.
I guess not.
But I guess not. You can just we can ignore that.
They don't own the
Uh,
air rights, but they own the pipe rights.
they own the ground rights. They can't build up, but they can build down.
Yeah, I want the
Put a
scene where
parking garage under there.
Cheese is like analyzing the bear, and she's like, "Wait, there's a giant cave system under here. We own that."
It's like in the back rooms when Clark realizes that the store keeps going on, and he's like, "It must be an underground network."
Yeah, there's just a giant cavern underneath. It's like an as above, so below. There's these little blind
um,
creatures in there running around.
yeah, and then I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that the jig is up on Carmi's resignation
No,
in
no,
this
it's
episode.
not.
It's later.
He
Okay, I
reveals it
couldn't
later. They
remember.
have yet to tell anybody, which
They
I don't
they they
know.
do keep it a secret for this episode.
I don't know why,
Um,
but sure, fine, whatever.
yeah, sure, fine. Why is Jimmy poor? Why did he put all of his money into the restaurant that he knew would fail?
He didn't. He
For
didn't. He remember he put some of his money into the restaurant, and then he said he lost 75% of his wealth on a bad stock trade.
Huh!
So
I didn't catch that line. What?
so that's why that's what's happening here. Like however much of his money is in the bear, and originally it was going to be like, that'd be a loss, but I guess we could survive it. But now he's lost a huge amount of money in the stock market.
Do we know how much money? Did he say that the other 25% was in the bear?
We don't know. Okay, let's extrapolate this, right? Let's extrapolate this. So um,
Let's say
the,
20% of it.
let's say the money he put into the bear was $500,000 outside of the money that Mikey stole from him,
Yeah.
and that they unethically hide from him as well.
Uh-huh.
So let's say that is whatever percent of his money, $500,000, and the building
Yeah.
is worth like $2 million, right? So I
Uh-huh.
think he's probably worth about $3 to $5 million if I had to guess. So now he has lost somewhere between $3 and $4 million on a bad stock
Okay, so
trade.
now like this just doesn't
Like nobody would ever
it's
trade
not like
like
a
this.
huge
Nobody
yeah,
would
it's
ever
not
trade like
a
this. But
terrible
I
problem
guess
for
he
the
did.
entirety of the show, but that would literally mean that he took credit. Maybe you could say he took a loan out to buy this stock to go all in on this stock, and then it crashed, which is why he ended up losing all of his money. But that would make him kind of in debt. Or somehow he managed to pick the one stock that actually went to zero. And that like never happens with stocks. Usually when a stock crashes, it goes down 100% or it goes down 200%. That's crazy bad. But for a stock to go from a whatever number, even if it's 1 cent, to not existing anymore, is it's tremendous.
Well, you can get it
Maybe
if you're doing like if he was doing like speculation trading on like a biotech stock, that could have happened, like the whatever the product is, it hasn't been approved yet. Right? This is a thing that people do. They put a lot
maybe
of
he
money
was
on these biotech stocks that haven't been approved yet, and if they get approved, the stock like goes to the moon, and if they end up getting rejected, they pretty much crash into near nothing. So that's I don't know. He put like three-quarters of his
You know what I
total
bet
wealth
happened?
on like
I
a
bet he was buying
experimental medicine.
futures. I bet he was buying futures and oil trading, and then the Strait of Hormuz was
Oh
closed, and all of his money went away.
no, he probably did like the Robin Hood Gold uh margin
He did the
investing thing.
he did the trick where you break the app.
Yeah, the
But
the fucking the guy who what did he do? He like put himself $50,000 in debt to Robin Hood by doing that on like on Apple puts. I think it was
yeah,
puts, yeah. Because he thought Apple was going to go down, so he bought puts
and
and
then they
lost
had a very good
everything.
earnings report.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what he
but
did.
yeah, Jimmy's poor, and that's what this season is. That's what his arc this season is about. Is he's gonna sell his brother's watch, and he's poor, and he wants his money. Um, his arc will arc and come to an end very easily. And then Ibrahim notes that the restaurant's credit cards have stopped working. Uh, that's not a huge problem. I assume a restaurant can continue running. The next day is going to be when all the problems start. Uh,
Yeah,
when you actually have to buy
and
things.
they have to decrease, what is it? The number of orders they're putting in. Yeah, deliveries. They need
Yeah,
to decrease deliveries by 15% according to Sugar.
which is not how restaurants work, by
In
the
case
way.
you guys can tell, the two of you who are watching this, we're not doing like full scene by scene. We're doing kind of like
This show
episode
doesn't really
by
deserve it.
episode,
Yeah,
uh, talking about them and whether they're good or not.
yeah, but this is not really how a restaurant would work, right? If your expenses were really bad, you wouldn't be like, you need to change the dishes right now and reduce them by 15%, or you need to reduce your ordering by 15%. You'd be like, hey, we either need to raise our costs or cut back on the menu size. So in reality, what would happen in a functioning restaurant, which this restaurant is not, so we can let all this be. But in a functioning restaurant, if you were to say, "Hey, our costs are too high. Our food cost is above 33%. We need to bring it down. We need to either reduce courses or we need to talk about raising the average the average price per seat." Which means you would either have to, for this restaurant, you would either have to reduce the amount of courses or significantly change the portioning sizes, or say, hey, this dish doesn't need the best caviar. This dish only needs, you can get a cheaper caviar for this dish. That's something a lot of restaurants do. You don't always have to buy the most expensive thing, if you're good at cooking, at least. But no, this season is like you need to make portions smaller, which also wouldn't work because if I I know how these restaurants work, they would have already had everything portioned out, especially for things like short rib or proteins. Those would be portioned out, so you can't really like go back and take 10% off and build another portion out of that. You'd just be wasting stuff if you did that. You just have to deal with it. And then Luca announces he's returning back to Copenhagen, and for some reason, Marcus will be extremely angry about this throughout the season.
Yeah, this is a
Uh,
this is a major side plot, but it's also it's not just that he's going back to Copenhagen. It's the whole deal that Marcus has invited, I guess, his estranged father to come to dinner tonight of all nights. And
yeah,
that's a pretty big deal for him because he thinks, oh,
it's
this might be our last night operating, so I'm not going to cancel it. Just get him in, and this is going to be like a major stress point for him.
yeah. I'm not really sure why he planned it this day either, because he knew the deadline of the restaurant. Wouldn't you ideally want the dinner to happen before the deadline that could be the end of the restaurant?
Yeah,
But
he
maybe,
probably should have done it sooner, but I guess he only just now worked up the nerve.
yeah.
I don't know.
And then at the end of the episode, a pipe in the basement bursts. And
Yeah.
so after this episode concluded, I was like, damn, they're gonna have to like completely they're not gonna be able to operate. So what I thought was gonna happen with this season is they were gonna find some alternative way. Like they were gonna I genuinely thought that they remember back in like season 2 after the bear closed and they were like selling sandwiches outside at
Hmm.
those picnic tables.
Hmm.
I was like convinced that they were gonna do a dinner at those tables and they were gonna try and operate, outside having people sit at the bear picnic tables, and I actually was kind of hyped because I think that would be a cool idea. It would still be gravely unethical, but it wouldn't be as unethical as what they will do.
Well, it will be. Well, they will do a little party outside, and it will be pretty unethical because they will just be serving illegal drugs to guests.
Oh yeah, they do that too. That was crazy.
Which you want to take
Uh,
illegal drugs. Be my guest. But like, this is. I don't know
it's
if
also
I don't know if I'd accept the white powder from the random people at the
from the
restaurant.
facts.
Yeah. Like, is
It's also
this? I'd
crazy.
be picking through that
It's
bag, like looking for. It's just
Yeah,
like, I don't know about
it's
this one.
very entertaining to think about the people in the writers' room writing this, and they're like, how would they entertain the people who are eating out at this dinner? Cocaine. All of these people would want cocaine because they're from Chicago and they're rich. And it's just like, what?
I can't say I can't say cocaine is a drug I have too much experience with, but I'm not sure how it would interact with maybe eating like fancy food. I don't know. I feel like it would inhibit the experience quite a bit because it can make you numb.
Well, how long does a cocaine high last?
It depends on if it's crack cocaine or if it's normal powdered
I assume it's
freebase.
crack because the facts are poor. How long do you think it would last?
Well, if it was crack, they would probably have said it. They wouldn't have referred to it as cocaine. Coke.
Oh,
I think I haven't exactly looked too much into it. I think it's like 30 minutes to maybe an hour or two. Hang on, let me look it
I
up.
reckon that you would have some kind of like crash afterwards,
You would
right?
have the desire to take more cocaine. That's compulsive
The whole
redosing.
dinner.
Yeah.
The whole dinner, everybody's just going crazy. Uh yeah, so they don't do the idea that I had. Instead, uh they continue with operations. And so a little bit of health code sanitation guide. Uh there's these things in restaurants called backflow pipes. Um and basically when you have like a sink or something, they will install the drain pipe so that there is a gap. So that there's a hole because something will happen with pipes if you have bad plumbing or you live in a place with particular bad drainage issues where you'll get backflow where whatever has drained down the pipe will come back up the pipe and you dear intelligent viewer probably don't need this to be told to you but that's a really dangerous and very unsanitary thing like if you get that in your food even the tiniest bit the bacteria that's in it can't be cooked out and it is completely contaminated so the way to combat this is you will cut off sections of the pipe and there'll be like a 6-inch gap there'll be a pipe that ends and it will fall into this secondary drain that way if backflow ever happens it doesn't backflow all the way up to the sink it will only backflow up to the floor and even if that happens even if you have backflow um up and it gets starts coming out of the floor drain, you have to either if you have a big enough kitchen, you can section off whatever zone that drain pipe covers, and you are not allowed to operate within that space. Most kitchens, especially the Bear, are not big enough to be able to section off zones. So if not, you have to completely shut down all operations because it is a contamination. It's a hazard to the people who are being served. Uh, in this situation, a wall pipe, an exposed wall pipe, has burst And I have never heard of anything like this happening in a restaurant. So it's bad. It is game over. You would have to shut off it, like I said earlier, if this is a pipe that the bear owns and it's not a city pipe, um they would have to turn the water off to the building. And if that happens, you can't operate as a restaurant at all because you need water. But somehow the pipe will randomly stop shooting out water and resumes shooting out water for comedic effect.
It's because they
Uh,
patch it, and then the patch breaks.
well, no, remember, there's no patch on it, and it's just like dripping. And then he said, and they're like scared to put the patch on it. And then the fact says, go up to it. It's not just going to randomly start shooting out. And then he says, okay, I'll try it. And then he walks up to it and it starts shooting water out again. So it doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
It's not how a pipe works. And
I don't know anything about how pipes work,
I don't know a
but
lot, but I know that they don't randomly shoot out water.
I
That's
mean,
all. That's
theoretically, they could if the water wasn't traveling through it continuously. If like,
correct.
if
If
there
it
was like a
was,
gap in the flow of water.
yeah, if it was a gap in the flow of water, or it was a drainage pipe, which it is implied that it is. However, it wouldn't make any sense that a sewage drain pipe would run through a restaurant. It would run through the sewage system, uh, which is it doesn't make any sense. But even then, it's like it would randomly like leak out water. It wouldn't randomly shoot out water like a hose. There's not enough water pressure building up from gravity to do that, unless for some reason they have pressurized drain pipes, which would be a whole nother discussion. But no, it floods their basement. A bunch of their stuff is destroyed. It gets all over their wine, and all over their
Hang on,
clothes.
is
And
this
they,
episode 2? This is episode 2, isn't
yeah,
it?
this is episode 2.
Hang on, but can we before we go to episode 2, can we just like we have missed things that should be talked about in episode 1.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize.
Okay, just like besides we'll get to the unethical water situation later and why I actually don't mind it that much within the context of the show. All right, we'll talk about that. But we have some character arcs, I guess, kind of get initiated. We have Sugar's babysitting adventure, basically. She's like gives the baby to the mom, and she's like, "Good lord, what if my mom like abuses and ruins my baby's life today?" You know, which is a fair thing to worry about, I guess. But she's given her a chance to prove herself and prove that she's a better person now. Which, real talk, why is Jamie Lee Curtis's character a better person now?
Because she wants to have a relationship with her children? Question mark.
Did she go through any kind of development, or is she just
Well,
better now? I don't
to our
remember.
knowledge, from season 4, she did an off-screen arc where and then because like she's reintroduced as like, I'm so sorry I was like that. I really want to be a part of your guys' lives again. Which
Oh,
I can give that grace.
sure, we could have
She's not
had
a main
screen time
character.
for this though. Like,
We
that
could
would
have had screen time,
that
but
would have been great.
they wanted more fact jokes, so they had to put those in
Oh
season 3 and 4.
no, you're right. I'm sorry, I forgot about the important
Yeah.
fact jokes, which will make an appearance once again
Oh yeah.
here in season. What are we on now? 8? We should be. But
Season 8? You mean season 5?
that was my joke.
Oh.
But there's also Richie who crashes his car into somebody and then goes to work, and then he's basically, I guess he's dealing with some kind of crazy stress, so he has all these grounding techniques he does where he just names a bunch of objects. So that's, a character trait he has this season. And he talks a lot about stabilization versus maximization. Or maximation, he says, because he doesn't know the word.
Yeah, Maximation.
Which I think he's trying to make some sort of thematic point. I guess well the writers are trying to make a thematic point with him that instead of just kind of making do with what you have, you should try to get the most possible out of what you have instead of
It's a
just
I like the philosophy.
I
I like the
do. I
philosophy.
do.
It's
I like it in general.
this season kind of had a little bit of the seasons 3 and 4 bear curse of where we didn't even talk about this in our recap, but we used to make jokes about how every time a character goes, even in like season 2, every time a character goes through an arc in a season, it's reset and starts over.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
they didn't
Family
go through an
Guy.
arc. Yeah. This is kind of like that for him because I feel like every single season he's like he starts out as like a crazy guy who needs to find ways to calm down and lock in, and then he finds that, but then the next season starts and they forget the arc happened and he's a crazy guy who needs to find ways to calm down.
I guess that happens in all of our lives, though, right? Maybe
Not like Richie.
he's stressed.
uh
He's stressed out because his restaurant's going
yeah.
to close. All right, and he's been like that for the past 3 seasons, and it's okay because this season he's going to go through an arc, all about it.
He's gonna go through an arc.
He's going to
And
end up
his arc is gonna
inspiring
involve
everybody to
holding
do
hands.
stuff.
Uh
Yes, his arc is going to involve
well, no, that's a
railing
different.
Jeff.
That's a different person's arc.
Well,
The
I'm
the
presuming
rating.
there's several railings going on.
And then What is Carmi's arc? Carmi is he is
His
he's
arc is getting
said out
Sydney
loud that
to.
he's said out loud that he wants to retire, and it is now coming to him. And there's a little bit of having to come to terms with the actions you have set into action.
I think the arc is really for him is just how do I get Sydney to step into her role so that I can leave knowing that the restaurant's going to be cool.
I don't know why you need to do that because she's much better than him in every way. We learned that last season.
Yeah, but
Eh.
then in this season they have her do little fuck ups and have him like be better than her every once in a while to like sell the point of like, oh, she needs to step up and he's gonna get her to do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like Sydney is remarkably human and understandable sometimes, and then the other half of the time she's like a diva who just can't be stopped. So they really have their cake and eat it too there.
Yeah. It's also hard to tell in because that is Sydney's arc in this season is she's trying to come into leadership naturally. And it's weird because in the last few seasons she's been the perfect leader at all turns, and now she is not the perfect leader. But it's also kind of hard to tell because of the last few seasons, like when is she the perfect leader and when is she just frustrated with everyone else? And when is she not perfect?
Yeah,
Because
it's
there's a
like
bunch of times
they
where
will
she's just like,
portray her as doing objectively bad leadership things, and then everybody else, all the other characters will be like, "Wow, Sydney, you're such a good leader," and the audience is like,
yeah.
"Wait, what?" No, she just was super mean and condescending to that person for no reason,
uh,
or for some reason.
and then Marcus's arc is like, oh, I invited my dad. I'm nervous. I don't get along with my dad. I don't really have a relationship with them. And he'll beat Luca up for no reason later. He'll take all his rage out on someone else. Uh,
Sure,
but then it'll
understandable,
be
I
okay
guess.
because he'll walk outside. And when you walk outside, you magically resolve all your issues at the bear.
Yes,
Uh,
it's just nicotine withdrawals, bro. Just go out there and smoke. You'll be.
uh,
Oh, there's also
Tina's
the McGriddle incident. I don't. This is
yeah.
such a weird arc. I don't understand. They're treating Will Poulter like he came from like a third world country. They're like, dude, you ever had a McGriddle before? He's like, I live in Denmark. Yeah, they're he was born in Britain.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not even that he lives in Denmark. He was born in Britain.
There's
You
McDonald's there. Yeah,
know what? It is kind of a third world country though. They don't have air conditioning.
they
Uh
don't need it. It
and then
rains constantly.
Tina's arc in this show is that she too is perfect, but she's insecure about being perfect. And she
Tina's
will
arc
later
is
become
super fucking lame here, dude. Like, it's they haven't had her do anything of note since like season one, and now they're just
she'll
gonna
make
be like, well, now she's gonna be the CDC, and you know
yeah.
she better be
For
ready for
some
that, and then she
reason.
is.
For some reason, she's the
Yeah,
CDC
she's
with
worked
no
at like one
experience.
restaurant for 6 months,
She's
and she's going to be the
she's the
CDC.
slowest.
She's going to be the
She's
CDC of a
yeah,
2-star restaurant.
dude. If only it was me. I wish it was me. But no, she's the CDC because Sydney likes her.
As good a reason as any. It's not
And
what
then
you know, it's who you know.
Luca's arc is being extremely handsome and charismatic, and he continues to be extremely handsome and charismatic throughout the show.
No,
And
the
then Sweeps
glaze,
has an
bro.
arc. Sweeps has an arc that is strange.
An
He
arc.
doesn't know.
It's the
He
arc
doesn't
of
know
it's the
what
arc of
year the
the
wine is
restaurant.
from.
Oh, that's also an arc.
For some reason, he doesn't know the year of the wine of whatever wine he's serving.
I thought you were talking
Uh,
about the other thing where he's like, well, I guess I'm gonna lose my job soon, so I might as well look
oh
for
yeah,
other jobs. And then the
that was
restaurant
very
stays open, and
strange.
he's like, all right, guess I don't need a new job.
Okay, here's the thing about restaurants. If you're good at whatever you do, if you're working in a 2 Michelin starred restaurant full time, you can get a job anywhere. You can move to any city and you'll find a job. Maybe it's not the
At
first
a
restaurant you walk
two-star
into.
restaurant, or like
Yeah.
yes, you couldn't like
You
become an electrician, but
yeah, you couldn't become an electrician. You could go work at any restaurant you want, basically. Sweeps is a self-taught sommelier. He could people need sommeliers. Very in need. My restaurant needs a sommelier right now. So like you don't I don't know, maybe he's delusional. Maybe he's completely delusional and doesn't understand anything about the restaurant industry, but he could walk into like 10 different restaurants in Chicago and get a job at every one of them if he's as good as the show is telling us that he is.
no,
Um,
he needs to get a
but then
job
his
as like a what was it, a janitor, a custodian.
yeah, janitor, which was strange.
It's well, I
Uh,
guess if I can't work at the bear, I'll just hang up my extremely advanced skill.
but he will essentially he'll go through an arc where he has to uh decide what year a certain wine bottle is from because he doesn't know,
And it just so
and then he
happens
will
to be
know
the
later.
specific turbo wine that the critic really likes.
Yeah.
And if he
Uh,
gets it wrong, they're screwed.
Does anyone else have something that they're doing in this season?
Um, what other characters are there in the TV show? The
Neil
Facts?
Fack. Neil Fack
His
has an
arc
arc
is
where
that he
he is
thinks the
slightly less
apocalypse is coming.
autistic.
No, less. No, what are you talking about, dude?
No, his arc is that he's extremely autistic and becomes ever so slightly less
I
autistic
thought the
later.
arc was that he learned how to channel his autism. He learned how to
Is
use
that
it.
well? I don't know.
I think that, yeah, I think that is pretty much
I'm
it.
just thinking about this story that he's like, my mom dropped me off at a birthday party, and I had no friends there. Everybody hated me and bullied me, so I walked home in the rain. But then I fell and broke my arm. That bit was kind of funny. I like that bit.
Miserable day. Just terrible. Why would nobody like
uh,
him? He's so friendly.
he's so charming. He's like a giant teddy bear.
He's so kind and loving. Why would you not like
Uh,
him?
because children are cruel.
That's true. They are cruel.
Moving
Never mind.
on
I'm making that joke.
to episode 2, I believe. Um,
Yes, this is
the
this is probably the best episode of the show, I'd say.
All right, bud. So
Lamb.
the restaurant has flooded. The drain, the sewage drain has exploded and gotten all over their shit. But they're gonna keep operating. They're gonna
They're gonna
keep
keep
pushing
it
through,
pushing. I
and
respect it, dude. I respect it.
they're gonna keep going to the flooded sewage basement in their work clothes, in their chef whites, and go back into the kitchen.
They took what's it called, a page out of Oswald Cobb's book here, which is, hey, if you're given an opportunity, hey, you gotta take it, no matter what the cost.
I'll
Right?
read the synopsis. The burst pipe causes the restaurant to flood. The staff cleans it up and continues preparing for service. As they cannot afford to close for even one day, Sydney organizes the crew while Natalie negotiates with vendors. Marcus arranges for his estranged father to attend service, and Carmi's attempt to clear the drain worsens the flooding. Richie proposes a tax credit program to reduce expensive, but Jimmy's inspection reveals extensive structural damage. He also admits canceling the restaurant's Wagyu order to save money. After learning the business may be unsellable due to its condition, Natalie confides her fear. Excuse me. Natalie confides her fears that her sacrifices have come at the expense of time with her daughter, and Tina rescues her or reassures her. When an argument breaks out before service, Sydney restores order by outlining a plan, and the reservation system comes back online. What bullshit? The reservation system does not come back online. Oh wait, doesn't it? It does come online at one point.
It is offline in the first episode. Remember, whatever her name is, Jess.
Yeah,
She says that that is the case,
yeah,
and
and then
then
they
there's basically some sort of, what is it, like a rush. Everybody wants to go to the bear for some reason that
yeah.
particular night.
Oh yeah, by the way, if talk goes down, people can't make reservations, so
Maybe it didn't. Maybe
they
talk was
wouldn't
up,
randomly.
but they were
And
just unable to access it for
you would
whatever
also be
reason.
able to access the information of how many reservations you have for a night by email. So
Maybe those were down. Maybe they flooded.
maybe
Their
Gmail
inbox was
flooded.
flooded.
uh, so basically, most of the stuff that happens in this is, well, all of it is a direct continuation of the last episode. Um, Jimmy is an asshole and for some reason cancels the Wagyu order. Um, and then Cheese tells us that there's
Oh yeah, cheese is
that the
here.
restaurant's built on a sinkhole.
Oh good lord. Yes. That is like, wait, that's like a doomsday I mean, I guess it's not confirmed that that's the case. She said she needed to
I
get
don't
her
know how
if
she
she
would
needed to
under.
get her equipment. You'd think
um,
if people like used that equipment for everything, there would be less like houses falling into sinkholes. Maybe cheese just has very advanced tech.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, that's bad. You don't want your building to be built on a sinkhole because then it will become ground and not building.
And you also don't
Uh,
want to add any like maybe like residential areas to that building because that
yeah,
would
like if
dramatically
it was.
increase the chances of someone dying or getting stuck in the sinkhole.
They don't take that into account though.
I mean,
And then Natalie,
these people are not good people. All right, the show has never characterized these people as being like ethical at all.
yeah,
They've
Natalie.
stolen money, they've sold drugs to facilitate the operation of the restaurant
Well,
multiple
no,
times. No, yes,
one person has sold drugs, and then for
but
some reason
somebody
they
else
bring
has
it back
approved
for this
it.
episode.
No, remember
Did Richie know about it?
wait, what are you talking about?
Harmon didn't approve of the cocaine selling because his brother was dead.
You're right, but you're wrong because originally he
Oh
was quite
wait,
upset with Richie about it.
yeah, because
But then
Richie
when
was
the
selling
power
cocaine,
went out,
wasn't
they
he?
needed money to pay somebody to fix it, and Carmen was like, "All right, go do one more uh, sale, basically." Which that's not how being a drug dealer works, but that's neither here nor there. He's like, "Yeah, just go out there and sling some bags and do your hustle and get us money to fix this restaurant."
Honestly, I would reckon them keeping the restaurant open in the state that it is in is worse than selling cocaine to people.
I completely agree. I think selling cocaine is not that bad because you can. It is definitely like it's definitely in the the gray though. But at the end of the day,
What's the thing you
it's
say?
somebody
Libertarian
buying.
responsibility of or of self
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. If I'm selling a product and you're an adult and you're buying my product that may be killing you, hey, that's just the way capitalism works at this point in the game.
Grocery stores sell cigarettes. I watched
Well,
someone buy them today in front of me.
yes, they do. Yes, they do, and those are probably harder to quit
Very
than
bad.
cocaine.
Yeah. And then
Kill more
I
people
have a
too.
there's an arc that not an arc, but there's a conversation that happens in this episode that I have a I don't agree with, but it's because I have a moral difference where Natalie is like, I feel like my daughter is forgetting my face. because I never spend time with her. And Tina is basically like, yeah, it sucks you don't get to see your kid, but you know what your kid really wants to see is you happy because you're pursuing the career that you want, which no child has ever thought that, especially a newborn who's basically like if you have detachment syndrome or if you get like stressed out when you aren't with the people you're closest with, basically anybody who receives a lot of has a problem being alone. You probably got that when you were a newborn because you didn't get enough attention. Like that's how that happens. That's how you get separation anxiety. Is just like you even one time when you were a newborn, you cried and your mom didn't pick you up. You can get lifelong separation anxiety from that.
Okay,
So
but
I think that it's a very different thing to say your 10-year-old can understand can like can they can understand that you're doing something you love and that you're really passionate about this. The newborn baby, however, that's very different. She should be with her newborn baby and not doing all her numbers that don't help anyone at all.
are you trying to make like? Are you trying to be like a based? Are you trying to be based right now? Like,
I'm just going against Tina's life advice, and I'm going against the advice of the show because it's kind of scummy to say to like you're literally choosing yourself over your newborn baby. You shouldn't do that.
well, hang on. I'm gonna push back on you because I actually think Tina's advice is quite good. But there's also another thing I want to say that you will agree with, which is first of all, it's not like Sugar is leaving her baby alone all the time. She's
Yeah.
literally having babysitters and like, yes, the child's gonna be okay, right?
Uh huh.
With grandma, with dad, with whoever she hires at any given time of the day, and she is gonna get to see the kid sometimes. And basically, Tina's point is if you're, if you're not gonna be if you're not going to be fulfilled, if you're going to be an unhappy parent, that's not going to be good for your child. So you need to like identify what kind of things you need to do to make sure you're a happy, fulfilled person so that your child will have a better upbringing. Now that being said, this shouldn't be that big of a deal because I don't know why on earth Sugar has to be at the restaurant all the time. She literally doesn't.
She doesn't at all.
She could just like what does she have to do? Do the books, deal with the vendors, then what payroll? I guess that's part of doing the books. What is it?
Yeah.
Hiring? That's about it. No, she doesn't even do hiring.
Yeah. She really serves. That's why she serves no purpose actually being there. Not only
She could
that,
work
but
from
aside
home or
from
she could be there 20 hours a week or like any other. Why is she
yeah.
there all the time?
Also, I don't understand what she even does aside from the books because she keeps like giving them numbers of things they need to meet. Like that, just so everybody knows, that's not what a bookkeeper does. A bookkeeper handles other stuff.
Well, she's the
She's
GM,
basically
right?
she's not GM. She's not GM at all. Richie's GM.
She's the GM.
No, she's not. A GM is front of house. A front of house
Okay,
manager.
maybe not the GM, but you know what I mean, like manager of some sort.
She's the bookkeeper slash accountant, and for some reason she handles all of their financial planning as well. That's what she does. Is she's the financial planner, uh, which doesn't make sense to me because they
Hang
have
on, stop. I just looked up Sugar's role in the bear, and the AI overview is Sugar provides bears with a quick, high calorie energy source. Elite
God damn it.
Google poll. Oh, this
Elite
one
Google
says
Poll.
she's the emotional anchor and pragmatic voice of reason. That's not a job.
That's a I would you say that's a role, not a job?
Anything could be a role.
But
Even a dinner roll
not
can be a
everything can be a
role.
job. That's true. I do love dinner rolls. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways,
Hang on. Hey, I'm gonna destroy you. She's the co-owner and general business manager, officially designated as the chief operating officer.
she is the CEO of the Bear or the COO.
Yeah, she's the COO. Yes, that's what she is.
Okay, that's not a general manager of a restaurant. These are
Okay,
two
what
very
is it
different
then?
things. However, a general
Does she need
manager
to be
is
there more than 20 hours a day? Can
a
she go see
COO.
her
No,
child?
a COO in a like corporate company is doesn't like. I don't work in corporate companies, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Glorified email answer. Their job is to sit in boardrooms and discuss ways to make money. That's what a chief operating officer
Oh,
does.
well, that's great because that's
This
kind
this
of what she
company,
does.
yeah.
But
However, this
she
company
doesn't
is
need to do it as much
nowhere.
as she does.
This company is nowhere near the size that they need a COO. This company wouldn't even have a CEO because it would not be like a multi-owned uh well, I guess multi-owned in
It's
the
not a
sense of like
corporation, it's a
shareholders.
restaurant.
It's not a corporation. It's an LLC.
Yeah, but I guess
uh,
she's the COO, so, whatever that
she's
means.
not. I refuse to believe that. The Google can tell you that. The AI overview can tell you that, but I like no.
Well, whatever her official
It's
job
just like
title is,
not
it's like
true.
she doesn't need to be here all the time. She can go
She
hang
doesn't
out
need to
with her
be there.
kids. So
Yeah.
this is like a Mickey Mouse character arc. They
Yeah.
just manufactured this out of thin air because
I
they
have
wanted to.
In fact, the restaurant I work in now is the first restaurant I've ever worked at where the bookkeeper works in-house. And it's because the restaurant I work at is attached to a hotel and they also do like a bunch of other things. So they need an in-house bookkeeper. Well, we don't even need an in-house bookkeeper, but we have one. But yeah, that's what else happens in this episode.
Oh,
Sydney
I
restores
have
order by
notes.
outlining a plan.
I can go through all the notes.
Tell me about episode 2 of The Bear.
Oh yeah, the walls are water damaged. That's cool. So
I mean, I would assume that based on the exploding pipe. I didn't really need to, I kind of like giggled when they told me that because I was like, I think the walls are the least of your problems right now with the fire hydrant that's in the wall.
I should have been more specific in my notes. I wrote Sydney Moggs Carmi with her wisdom because Carmi's a super idiot. I don't know what that's in reference to, but it happened, you know?
I think it's in reference to the many times that Carmi tries to let her do something and then she doesn't do it and he tries
It's
to
when
help and then she
he's trying
goes,
to clear the drain and she's like, "No, if you
"Oh
do that, the
yeah."
water's going to go in there more." And he's like, "No, that's actually not what's going to happen." So actually really he mogs her in that scene with his wisdom.
Well, she's right though. Is more water goes in. However, uh when the drain is clogged, you gotta get the water to go.
Oh
So
yeah,
I don't really
this is the
know.
episode where Sweeps is on the phone and he's like, "I need a new
Yeah, he's
job. I'll
like,
work nights. I'll work nights. No problem."
it's like I'm unemployed.
He kind of sounds like a little bit like Morgan Freeman, just a tad on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you need me to do." Oh, Richie has apparently found like a method to save them money by donating the fats from their food to a company, which is, I guess that's a good idea.
Donating the what?
Well, what was it? There's some kind of like excess fats that they drain instead of just like,
Oh, like drainage oil?
yeah, they're gonna donate them to this company that uses them to make candles, and that'll give them a tax break. And Sydney's like, "All right, cool, we'll do it." And Richie's like, "Fantastic."
I don't
Um,
think that's how that works,
oh,
but sure.
this is the episode where
Okay,
Sydney
wait.
calls Jimmy Unk. She calls him Unk. It's so rude.
Well, I think she's calling him uncle as in Uncle Jimmy, not as in uncle, not as in like Unk, you're old.
I think she meant it both. He's not her uncle.
Yeah, but he's not Richie's uncle, and
Oh,
Richie calls him
oh
Unc.
God, you forgot about when the facts are trying to like patch the pipe and they aren't doing it because they're scared, and then Sydney does it and calls them. And he was like super mean to them,
Oh
and
yeah.
then the water comes back on and it ruins her patch.
Sydney is a terrible person once again. She just is like being so mean to these brain dead Neanderthals.
I kind of like the part
It's
where
literally like
Carmi. Oh, sorry.
I imagine that it's like Sometimes you go to like a Walmart or a grocery store and they have greeters that are like people with Down syndrome.
Yeah. You think
I just imagine that Sydney like going to Walmarts and like walking up to them, she's like, "You're gonna amount to nothing in life. You're gonna work here forever." And they're just like smiling back because they're the nicest people in the world, as she's just like saying horrible, horrible things to them.
Sydney does see them and she's like, God. In her head, she's like, wow, look at these people. Look at them. um, Cheese disses Sydney and goes through like a huge list of all the different things that the bear did wrong. I wasn't able to write them down because it was flying by so fast. But like, it's a lot of violations and this and that and all this and that. And then the sinkhole bit. Um, I like the scene where Carmy and Will Poulter are hanging out. Will Poulter's doing the ribs, and Carmy's like, "Those look good." And Will Poulter's like, "Oh, I've been waiting years to hear you say that." And then Carmy finds like a microscopic little speck.
And he goes, "You missed a spot." I like that
It's
too.
it's like the small. You can't even see it. You would have to have like
Uh-huh.
a telescope. You'd have to have the Hubble Space Telescope to see it. And Carmy's like, right there. It's funny.
Anything else to say about episode
I'm
two?
looking through the scenes. Oh yeah, there's a lot of like there's a lot of like briefing scenes in this season where like all the main people gather in the front room and either
Oh
Richie or
yeah.
Sugar or
There
Sydney goes up front and is like, "All right, here's the deal." And they go through a
the
whole
amount of
list.
meetings that this restaurant has drives me insane. It like they have like 10 different meetings. We don't even have a meeting where I work. We sit down and we eat food and then we go over guest notes while we're
I
eating.
guess this is a pretty kind of extreme situation. Yeah, they argue a bunch. Also Jimmy and Computer like are planning to deal with the restaurant, and like get it sold. And Computer suggests that they sell the air rights. That's their new plan to salvage the situation. But they don't even know if they have the air rights. And that
And the
is
building's built on a sinkhole.
yeah, the sink. I wrote that down. Did we forget about the sinkhole? Because they're like, oh, we could put a condo on top of the bear, or we could put another business on top of the bear. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're just gonna put more people. We're gonna tie more people down to the train track. That's the best answer to the trolley problem. Is, oh, do I send it to hit the one guy or like the five people? I send it to hit the five people and then I add three more.
Uh, um,
Yeah, that's
I
that's
don't
episode
understand.
two.
If the building's worth $2 million, sell it.
But apparently
What?
it's not, right? There's like some reason why they can't sell it in
Yeah,
its current
Cheese is like it's
condition.
not worth $2 million, which I don't
Well, it's
understand
worth
how
something.
they didn't know this. You can just go on Zillow. Just go
Like,
on Zillow.
listen, I like the air rights plan as long as there's no sinkhole. And I like, okay, let's just dismiss the sinkhole from our consciousness because nobody else will think about it either, right? So why should we?
Yeah,
Um, I like the idea of selling the air rights and putting another business on top of it. That's a great idea. Why haven't they done this already?
because they didn't think of it until now.
They don't even have to sell the air rights. Rent it out.
They don't. They could build it themselves. You can get a
Before
loan for
okay,
that.
here, Jimmy, you haven't okay, let's think back to like season 4, right? You have not
Uh
yet lost 75% of your wealth.
huh.
All right. Let's build some kind of building, right? That any business could use and build a little
Uh huh.
staircase that leads up to it. And then rent it out to somebody to just run a business up there. Why haven't we done this already?
Because that would take intelligence and thought.
And then you could okay, I don't necessarily know how the bookkeeping would work, but you could maybe file that under income for the bear since it would technically be on that property.
Well, I think that he would not want to do that, right? Because He would want the money, so you would want it to come in through that income streamline.
Well, it
Uh,
would increase the value of the business though. To be like we have this restaurant and we also have property connected to it.
if it was in the sense of like Carmi realized that he owns the air rights, and so he built it and then started funneling through the bear, that would make sense. But if
That
in
would never
reality, if
occur to Carmi. That would never cross his mind.
well, yeah, but in reality, what would happen is Jimmy would be like, "Hey, I own the air rights. I'm going to build something," and then he would just be the landlord of both spaces.
Does Jimmy own
Uh,
the air? Does Jimmy own the? No, but well, I guess he doesn't.
no,
That's the thing they
no,
find out is that
he
they
owns the bear.
is that
Yeah.
Deidre O'Connell owns the air rights.
Essentially, what he would do is he would run an LLC that would be a landlord a front for him being a landlord, and then there would be two businesses paying him rent is what would happen, and then
Uh-huh.
he would also own one of the companies, uh,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
that's how it would work.
Regardless, they should have done this before, but they didn't. I guess they didn't think about it until now, even though they have Computer and Cheese, who are both supposed to be super finance business people. I don't even know what the point of Cheese is, aside from that
I
she's
don't know what
kind of
the
bad,
point
but
of of computer is if you have Natalie, and I don't know what the point of Natalie is if you have computer,
well,
because they both do the same thing the whole
Computer
season.
is much better at this than Natalie.
Then why is Natalie
He
doing anything? Why is she
Computer
here?
is Jimmy's advisor, right?
Yeah, but
Natalie
he's
is the
advising the
bear
bear
business person.
constantly.
Yeah, because that's
And he
the
is looking at the Bears numbers constantly
y-
because he's like, you guys need to stop buying this. You guys need to stop
it's
buying this.
because that is the place that is currently giving Jimmy problems, right? So like okay, the analogy would be like, okay, imagine I own a business that is pretty independent. It has its own operating staff, and then that business starts to perform badly. And I have my own personal financial advisor who helps me manage all of my assets. So then I take him with me to go to the failing business and figure out what
I
we're going to
agree
do.
with you. What I'm saying is that the Bear is not the size of an operation that needs a financial manager to begin with, and the fact that there are two is insane.
There aren't two.
Like,
He's paid by
yeah,
Jimmy
but
directly, right? He's
he is
Jimmy's guy.
actively he is actively operating as a financial manager because it is Jimmy's problem. So he is doing Natalie's job alongside of her when
You're
Natalie's
doing too
job
much,
aside
man.
from bookkeeping isn't
You're
necessary.
looking once again. You're looking for a criticism. You don't need to search. There's plenty. There's plenty in the show. It's
It
just
just
a
doesn't make
product of
sense.
circumstance. Is that he
It's
is
not a
like
product
he's
of
like an
it's a product of
outside
they want Natalie to
consultant.
be in the show.
He's
So
an
they put her
outside
there.
consultant. He's an outside consultant giving his opinion on the business, and he's arguing with the finance advisor from there. Now, whether you want to argue, if you want to say the bear doesn't need a finance person, then fine. But that doesn't mean like Computer and Natalie are like redundant. They're not. They're very different roles that they're serving.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying they don't need a financial advisor.
Okay, well
I'm saying that it
that's
makes no
fine, but
sense.
it's not. Sydney and Computer are not redundant. They're fulfilling two separate roles. They have two different employers, and
Yeah.
then obviously because they're dealing with the same subject matter, they're going to argue and fight and stuff.
Yeah. All right, we're going extremely slow. We
Now
need to go faster.
cheese is a bit redundant. I don't know why
Cheese is
cheese is
redundant
here.
because she does we nobody knows what she does. She just comes there and says things that
She literally
are
does the
both
same thing as
world
Computer.
breaking and things that computer has
Okay,
said.
well let's go to episode 3 then.
5 hours before service, Natalie proposes shortening the menu and simplifying dishes to compensate for missing ingredients. The reservation system mistakenly books 3 full rounds of customers, dividing the staff over whether to honor every reservation. During a tense moment with Carmi, Sydney unintentionally reveals his resignation to the entire team. Carmi admits he no longer believes he should lead the restaurant, apologizes to staff, says he loves them. Neil informs Jimmy, who betrays Carmi over his decision. Carmi later encourages Sydney
He
or
betrays
berates
Carmi.
Carmi
Is
over.
that actually how it's phrased?
Huh?
Is that actually how it's phrased?
It's Neil informs Jimmy, who berates Carmi over
Oh,
his
oh,
decision.
berates. I thought you said he betrays Carmi over his decision. It's
uh,
like imagining like Anakin Skywalker, like
you turned him against me. It's
you
just the
have
bear
done
behind
that
him.
yourself.
Carmi later encourages Sydney to stop seeking his approval and take control of the kitchen. After Sydney reorganizes the service plan and rallies the staff, Ted accidentally falls through the ceiling while attempting to repair the roof. This is a funny line. Carmi encourages Sydney to stop seeking his approval. I didn't know that she was doing that after season 1.
Um, I don't know. They want us to think she was. I don't think she was.
It seems like he is trying to get her approval the whole show
Yeah.
after season 1, and then it reverts back to the normal. It's weird. But yeah, so this is Natalie has already told them multiple times they need to shorten and simplify dishes, and then this episode it gets like really dramatic that she's like, "You guys need to shorten the dishes," and then she will keep saying it in later episodes. For some reason, Talk has exploded and they have 3 rounds of customers, which is very good news. However, they don't have enough food. And everybody's like, Richie, you need to cancel this many. And then Richie doesn't cancel them because he wants everyone to come in. And I don't have a problem with it. It's just kind of like, it's not like bad writing. It's just like bad practice. Why aren't the reservations capped? Why are you letting people come in when you don't have enough food? You're going to have to compromise the experience for everyone. But
God,
sure.
I'm reading through my notes and realizing how much stuff happens in this episode that is just like completely pointless and insignificant.
Yes.
Specifically this episode, especially the only thing of consequence that happens first is the only thing that happens is Fact's little monologue that he says, which
one?
I have the whole thing written down because I thought it was
Read
very
me the Fact
important.
monologue.
He said he's just like out of the blue. He's like, maybe darkness comes first, and the boils, and hail, and lice, and the rain. There's no more sun. There's no more moon. No more toothpaste, boogers, vomit, actual ghosts, flying cars, vampires, cookies with razor blades in them. Dinosaurs will return. The disease has ruined everything. We can't do this anymore. I found a tarp.
They're turning the frogs gay.
I like how he says the disease has ruined everything, not even a disease.
Have you seen that? It reminds me of the Alex Jones clip where he's talking about how kids look up to the wrong role models. And he's like, everybody's looking up to Justin Bieber. Everybody forgot about Thomas Edison and Benjamin Franklin and Magellan. Magellan sailed the world in a ship. He went all the way around with one compass. 300 people died. The ship was rotting from its core. That's adventures.
I thought you were going to mention the Alex Jones clip where he's like, I'm a pioneer. I'm an explorer. I'm a human. And I'm coming.
I need to learn how to do a good Alex Jones impression.
Dude, I love Alex Jones. He's such a gem. Thank God he exists. But yeah, that's like the only thing. Everything else in the episode is just kind of like logistical. Of like, okay, yep, we're prepping.
Yeah.
This.
There's
food.
another meeting. There's another meeting where everyone yells at each other, and then Sydney goes, "Well, that's a lot coming from I quit or whatever." She says,
"No, that happened
like
last episode."
No, that happens this episode. I literally just read it to you.
No, it happens last episode.
During a tense moment with Carmi, Sydney unintentionally reveals his resignation to the entire team.
Yeah, that happened in episode 2, bro.
No, it says episode 3. Mint. What?
Oh, I must be wrong.
Yes.
It's probably in my notes.
But yeah, that happens, and everybody yells at each other because this is The Bear, the show where people yell. And then later in the episode, Ted falls through the ceiling.
Yeah, that happens.
So there's not only is the pipes exploding.
Also, people are mad at Carmi because he's leaving. That happens too. But yes, falling through the ceiling. Go on, please.
So there's a hole in the ceiling in the middle of a rainstorm. I don't think I know. I don't think I need to explain to the dear viewers why having a hole in your kitchen is bad. but they decide that they're just going to put a tarp on the ground and continue a service. And I don't mean just a hole. I mean a hole big enough for a person to fall through.
Yeah, and if I listen, do they fix that hole like in the episode
No,
or like in the show before the service happens? Because we don't really ever see it again.
we see them put a tarp on the floor, but we nothing is shown.
It's like right in the middle of a lot
Yes,
of different
in the middle
stuff.
of what they're saying is like the worst storm Chicago's seen in years.
Yeah, but the rain
It's like
stops later, right?
the
I don't
rain
know.
stops in like two more episodes.
It's it's pretty like
Yeah.
how are we gonna do this? We don't have a restaurant, bro. But you know what? They're bad people, so they keep it going.
There is nothing they could patch this hole with. There's nothing they could do. They could put a tarp on top, but it would leak through.
Oh, I forgot to
They could put a
mention that
tarp on
these
the bottom.
unethical
It
people
would leak
also
through.
stole millions of dollars from Cicero. So if you
Well,
needed
no,
more
I think
evidence that they're bad people,
I'm fairly
they
certain
definitely
that you're
did that.
misunderstanding what happened. Because Mikey took a loan from Jimmy, said he spent it, and then said he couldn't pay it back.
Hmm.
He kept the money.
Yes.
So it's not stealing.
Well, yeah, because they find the money and then they're like, well, guess we're gonna. Well, actually,
It is.
is that true though? Or did they go to Jimmy and they were like, hey, we found the money and we're not gonna give it to you and we want more? I think that is actually what happened.
I actually think that is what happens.
Okay, maybe it isn't as bad as I thought. But still,
But
I
there is
mean,
a
they're
hole in the kitchen during a thunderstorm. So it's over. But no, it's fine. They put a tarp on the ground, and that will make it so that water stops leaking through the ceiling. The tarp on the ground. And it will never. They'll mention multiple times that there's a hole in the ceiling, and by multiple times I mean like twice. But it just doesn't become a problem after Ted exits the ceiling.
that's funny because it should have become more of a problem once Ted exited the
It
ceiling.
should have become much more of a
It would have been a
problem.
funny bit if they had him just stay in the ceiling for the rest of the season. They're like, we're gonna get you down. He's like, if you get me down, the rain's gonna come through. Just
You
leave me
gotta leave
here.
me here.
Yeah, he like
I could see
sacrifices,
that happening too.
and he's just up
I can
there for
completely.
the rest.
I could see. You know what I could see? I see an alternate universe where he stays in there, but then at one point he's like, "I can't do it. I'm slipping. I'm slipping," and he like falls through the hole. So Neil goes up there because he's fatter, so he'll fully plug the hole. I can see that happening.
Oh, that would be the end of their arcs.
um, yeah, and then the next episode happens. 5 hours before service, Natalie proposes shortening the menu. Where wait, I'm reading the same one again. Sorry,
Okay, here we are on 5x4 ribs.
Carmi and Richie discuss Carmi's decision to step away. Richie encourages him to learn to work alongside others instead of trying to control